It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hey everyone, it's Gary K and
Steph Beckett, and welcome to another episode of rAVe TV, the Pro AV industry's only weekly live TV show, and probably the most chaotic TV show as well.
especially if you knew what was happening behind the scenes.
It's like the things we talk about when we're not recording. Well, okay. I wanted to try something new this week because we have a really great group of interns, Gary. You agree.
Phenomenal.
They are incredibly hard workers. They are amazing people. And so I thought it would be funny every week for a different intern to pick a news story that Gary and I have to talk about. And this week was chosen by Tommy, our multimedia intern, and he really wanted us to talk about Hank the Tank. So if you're a person who's been on the internet before or just a person who follows the news, Hank the Tank is a 400-pound bear who has, I think, broken into like 20-something homes in the Lake Tahoe area. Yeah, 21. And Hank the Tank is a girl. She's a female bear. And I don't know how she got into 21 homes, but they have finally captured her. And I think that animal control was initially going to put her down, but the internet was in an uproar. They were like, no, she is everything to us. She is an amazing bear. Please don't put her down. So I think they're just going to like get her away from all the houses.
I mean, I'm guessing she's just freaking hungry. Like
Yeah.
they've like raised all of her food, right? By building
Yeah.
all these houses and replacing all of her habitat. I'm guessing she's just hungry. Like just like figure out a way to feed her and put her in an area that would be comfortable, that kind of thing, you know, or give her to San Diego Zoo. San Diego Zoo's an awesome place for.
She's just a menace. Apparently, she has ripped off screen doors, ripped off parts of a garage door, rummaged through garbage bins, climbed stairs, scratched up cars. She also ripped off the siding of a house so that she could access part of the house from underneath. So,
Again, I stand by what I said. She's probably just hungry. Like that siding of the house, I can only imagine, having grown up with Winnie the Pooh, that there was a beehive in there and she just wanted to get the honey, right? I mean, it has to be that, right? I mean, that's the only reason my bears do stuff like that.
Do you ever feel like whenever this wildlife stuff happens that like you're on the animal side? Like I'm always like, she did nothing wrong. She just was.
I mean, I would say I'm on the animal side 95% of the time because we kind of encroached in their territory. And I think sort of like, and that's the thing about like, I love Disney. Yeah. But I also wonder how it is that they're the only zoo that no matter when you go, whatever time of year, you can always see the animals. Like they're there. Like you go to any other zoo, they're like, it's too cold today. The so-and-so is back. It's back there, but it's, it's Disney. Like they're always there. It's like, are they prodding them with electric ropes or something like that to get them to stay out? Or
have you ever watched John Mulaney before? He has a bit where he's like talking about being at the zoo and like the zookeeper's like, oh well, the animal's in the inside part right now, like it can't come out, and like the inside part, tell him we're here, bring him out.
I mean, you are going to a zoo to see some animals, right? But at the same time, you realize that the animals aren't there to be seen. They're there.
No, they're just like they're just living life. Yeah.
So if you imagine if every time you had friends over, like think about it this way, like when you have friends over or let's be honest, let's say you go to a weekend, like let's say, you got a friend that comes and stays with you. There's a moment in time you want to be away from that friend, right? You kind of want to go off and be in, no matter how great of a friend you are, you still want to go to your bedroom and just hang out for a minute just to get away from him or her, right?
Yeah.
You got to have some space.
The animals are like, oh, I'm just tired of being looked at. Like, let me go back to the inside part now.
That's right. So anyway, I think we're supposed to talk about AV stuff too. I'm going to give you a little teaser. Okay. Before we go to the Shure video, we got a little video from Shure we want you to watch. First off, we're going to have Jason McGraw on today, and Jason McGraw and I are about the same age. We grew up in this industry together. We've known each other for 30 plus years. And he's also the group vice president of CEDIA Expo and Commercial Integrator, or CIX show that's coming up in about a month from today, actually. And we thought it would be a perfect time to have him on the show. So that's one teaser. Second teaser is, Steph, last night, right after the market closed, Zoom told all their employees that they had to go back to the office at least 2 or 3 days a week. And that irony is not lost on
It's so
me.
crazy.
And we're going to address that today, among other things. So before we do that, we have this quick message from Shure, which is very important, both to you and to us. So check it out.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm here with my colleagues Chris and Rich to explain how the MXA920 ceiling array microphone uses automatic coverage technology to pick up the sounds that you want in a meeting room and avoid the sounds that you don't. Out of the box, when you set up an MXA920, the default coverage area is 30 by 30 feet or 9 by 9 meters around the microphone.
For most meeting rooms using a Microflex ecosystem, you don't need to do a lot more than that. Just plug it in, use the default coverage area, optimize the system, and you're nearly ready to start your meeting.
With this default coverage, we can move around anywhere in the area. Whether we're sitting, standing, or walking, the audio is high quality and consistently clear.
For those times where you need to be specific about what you pick up, the MXA920 makes it easy to select only the sounds you want. So instead of using our default coverage area, I can place up to 8 separate coverage areas around the mic. Here I'll start with a dedicated coverage area over me at the podium. Dedicated coverage areas always measure 6 by 6 feet and they always have a lobe assigned to them. So I can be picked up regardless of what other sounds are happening in the room. This is good for a lectern position, the head of a table, or a general VIP spot. I can also place 3 additional coverage areas around our tables here.
These new areas which Andrew has just dropped in are called dynamic coverage areas. Whenever someone talks here, the MXA920 will automatically deploy a lobe.
And if I talk outside the coverage area like this, you won't hear me very clearly at all.
If you want to completely exclude sound from certain areas, like in an open conferencing area or a town hall meeting, all we need to do is create a coverage area and mute it like this. This is perfect for where background ambient noise might be an issue. Notice how you can hear me clearly, but we don't get to hear Chris and Rich having a side conversation.
And because the MXA920 can pick up multiple talkers at the same time across all of its coverage areas, you'll always be part of the conversation.
All coverage areas are mixed within the microphone and sent out as a single channel of clear, consistent audio. In addition, all these features make the MXA920 not just perfect for video conferencing, but also for integration with camera control systems and for voice lift in larger spaces such as this.
That's our introduction to coverage areas and automatic coverage technology with the MXA920. To learn more about what you've just seen and heard, head to shure.com/MXA920 or get in touch at shure.com/contact for more information or to arrange a live demo.
Don't forget to support our sponsors. They're supporting us. In fact, Shure was there at the very beginning of rAVe TV. And listen, we got some major trade shows coming up. The trade show season is not over. We got a brand new show and a show that has been a powerhouse show for many, many years. CEDIA has been the high-end residential show. I've only missed one CEDIA in the history of CEDIA. I was there at the very first show. At least I think it was the very first. There was like a tabletop show in Florida, and then there was the first official show, if I remember correctly, in the Dallas Mart or whatever they call it now, across from the Anatole Hotel. And then it became a regular show. And now there's a brand new show by one of our partner publications, Commercial Integrator, Expo, and Emerald, who owns the CEDIA Expo and partners with CEDIA, the association, to put together CEDIA. They have a new show called Commercial Integrator Expo, which is sort of a startup show inside of CEDIA, for lack of a better term. And it's kind of unique because it's not an Infocom, it's not an ISE, it's not a DSE. It's kind of its own little show that's kind of, this is all the stuff that high-end residential companies would do that's not inside of a house. And oh, by the way, if you do very, very small commercial projects, this is the show for you, because a lot of those small commercial projects, Steph, use residential products.
Yeah.
And so those integrators need access to the Sony consumer line, the ES line, but also want access to the Bravia commercial line. And that's the show. This is a show specifically for that, because the ES line, you don't see at ISE and Infocom.
Right.
You only see it at CEDIA. And yet they're put into light commercial projects. Like you go to a bar, those are ES products that are there.
Yeah.
Right?
And kind of vice versa as well. Like people who really need to look great in meetings, who are presenting a lot of stuff, who maybe need a lot of enterprise level stuff in their home office. That's all commercial grade stuff that's going in the home. So it's kind of for that situation.
It's a great startup show that hasn't existed yet. We actually have a free code. If you use rAVe CE23, if we could pop that back up real quick, rAVe CE23, or scan that QR code, or go to CEDIAExpo.com and then just start registering and use the code rAVe CE23. And I think for some reason it has to be all caps. I don't know, but it might have to be all caps because we keep showing it that way. Check it out and you get a free show pass. And by the way, it's a show in Denver. It's not in all the places all the other shows are. So this is a good chance for you to go. There's not a better time to go to Denver than September because you got not too hot, not too cold, unless you want to ski, of course. Then you might want to go a little later. But anyway, why don't we bring on Jason? What do you think, Steph?
Sounds good.
So Jason McGraw, who is the Group Vice President of CEDIA Expo and Commercial Integrator. How you doing, Jason?
I'm great, Gary. Hi, Steph. How are y'all doing today?
Good, good. Thank you for coming on kind of short notice. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So we're excited about the show, Jason. We first off want to give you a chance to kind of pitch us. Like, say we're somebody who's not sure we want to go to this show, pitch us and tell us why we need to register for the show and come to the show.
Well, like you were commenting a moment ago, Gary, we've created kind of a new intersection of commercial and residential this year by putting CEDIA Expo, which is the leading residential systems integration show in North America, with our new event, Commercial Integrator Expo, or CIX, where we're kind of bringing the best of both worlds together, where we have leading brands that are well known in the commercial and residential space. They're on the show floor. So a lot of the brands that you know and love, the Crestrons, the Sonys, the Samsungs, the Harmans, the Savants, Legrand, Snap, you name it, Origin Acoustics, they're all there, and they'll have their greatest new products. They are showing, as you commented, both residential and commercial products in their booths. And then we've added a new section on the floor. So it's two shows on the same show floor. We've added over 50 new exhibitors who are commercial primarily in their focus of products. So it's expanding the palette of new product information and opportunity for not only CEDIA Expo attendees, but also new commercial integrator and tech manager attendees that we're marketing to come to the show for Commercial Integrator. And, CEDIA, the organization that launched the show, has run it for decades, and we acquired it in 2017. They're continuing to be the major education partner with their conference and association activities at the show, hosting and welcoming all the CEDIA members and integrators from the residential side of the market. They put on a very robust conference program at the show, and our good friend Mandy Beckner is now VP of Education with CEDIA. So I know they have a great program and lineup this year. We've also introduced a new conference program for CIX with 50 sessions. We've partnered with other well-known commercial groups like IMCCA, DSF, NSCA, and we have a great content advisory committee. So we put together a really great lineup of speakers. So that's all new this year, and that's available for not only commercial folks to come and take advantage of, but also the CEDIA Expo audience. As we know from our surveys last year, nearly 50% of our attendees last year who are residential integrators are also doing commercial projects. So this hybrid or convergence, if you will, of Resi Marshall, that coined phrase, will be represented fully at CEDIA Expo and Commercial Integrator Expo coming up next month in Denver.
Yeah, I'm excited to go to the show, and
Me too.
I think you're missing the best part about it. The CEDIA show is awesome, and the education is awesome, but the events around the show are really cool. The brands put on some really cool events. Steph and I went to the Snap One event last year, which was huge. Like, it was the biggest party. It was as big as the Extron parties used to be back at Infocom years and years ago. It was huge. But there's also a lot of other kind of like cool things that are going on always around the show. So it's not like a traditional trade show. There's, of course, you have the trade show floor, but it's got a different vibe to it. And I think a lot of it comes from these home integration companies that have sort of like grown out of as the industry. Like they were created when the industry was created, and they kind of grew with the industry. And the show basically helped grow the industry because there was nothing else really there. So I think it's kind of a unique vibe. Now, Jason, I want to talk about, you and I have been in the industry for the same amount of time. We both started in the industry, somewhere around 87. You were with a trade show company then, but then you came over to ICAA, which is now known as Avixa, which is now the Infocom show. And so you and I have been in the industry a long time. We've been friends since then. But I want to tell some stuff about Jason that people may not know. Okay, because Jason is a really cool guy. Number one, Jason's a musician. Jason is a really good musician, actually. And like many of us that thought we were going to be rock stars, we ended up in the AV industry. But what is your favorite instrument to play, Jason? And what is your favorite song?
Well, I play guitar. That's my first guitar I got in 1981, I think, when I was a teenager. I love playing guitar. I have my own little music room, man cave in the basement that I like to go down and crank it up on the weekends. But I don't know. A highlight I remember in 2006, playing with the Smithereens, and Blood and Roses was the song I got to play on with them. So I'll remember that one. But I love any music that has guitar in it. But hair metal 80s music and classic rock, AC/DC, Scorpions, Kiss. I love all that kind of rock music quite a bit. But I'm excited because we have the CE Pro All-Star Band playing at the show. And
that's a good example of other things that are at the show that are
that's always that one's so fun. Do you have like any songs that you can release from the set list that you can tell us what to expect?
For sure you're gonna sing what's that girl's name that's been touring that's made like $1.5 billion touring? Taylor Swift.
We do not have, unfortunately, any Taylor Swift songs in the repertoire for the CE Pro All-Star Band, but
maybe wrong audience, Gary.
Yeah.
All this.
All right. So second,
a little more on the classic rock side, I think. But the guys
this
are
is
working
Spinal
on
Tap for sure, right? You're gonna play this.
I'm gonna try to join them for at least one song. So that's my goal.
Cool.
I'm trying to practice. I'm a little rusty right now.
I want to tell them something else about you, Jason. If you go to look at Jason's social media, like mine, you're mostly going to see pictures of his kids and things that his kids are doing. He has 4 kids. I only have 2 daughters. He has 4 kids. But Jason was one of the first people I know that met his wife in a very untraditional way. And so I want you to tell everyone, because I think this is an amazing story. And I remember the day Jason comes to me and says, I'm going to have this girl come to the show. And I'm like, well, who is she? Because we were good friends. Like, we hung out together and stuff. And I didn't even know he was starting to date. So he just barely started to date her at that time. And how did you meet her?
Well, 30 years ago yesterday, as it turns out, August 8th.
Oh my gosh.
I met my wife in a chat room on America Online.
AOL.
And
you got mail.
That was like when you had the floppy disk, and you could sign up for a free subscription, and you got into a chat room, and I had a Mac Portable, like this monochromatic screen with a keyboard, and it was a dial-up modem.
It like folded out.
Exactly.
It was a case, like a suitcase, and it folded out of the suitcase.
It was like you got
carrying
mail,
it around,
or Sleepless in Seattle. I wasn't trying to find anybody. Not like today. They got harmony.com and whatever, but this was way before all that stuff. And we were chatting. She lived in Milwaukee. I lived in Virginia. We hit it off. I flew up to meet her, and then she ended up moving down to Virginia, and within a year we got married. And looking at 29 years of marriage this fall and 4 great kids. And I'm very blessed that Michelle and I have been together all this time. But without the internet and AOL back then, I would have never met my wife.
It's amazing because
That's
I had
amazing.
no idea at the time what he was talking about. And he was telling me about this thing AOL, and and it was, this is before the internet. Keep that in mind. The World Wide Web didn't start until 1994.
Right.
So this is before the World Wide Web. This was the way people sort of like, it was like news and communication, and it was kind of foreign. There was only like maybe 2% of people even were participating at that time. Yeah. But I remember him saying, this girl's going to come to Infocom, and we just started dating.
Amazing.
Yeah. And they end up getting married. And another little fact, his wife is the first that I know of personally influencer in the world of influence. She was an influencer before there was influencing. She was affecting, she was a great influencer, and they weren't called that at the time. I can't remember what we called her at the time, but I just remember Jay said, hey, check out Michelle's stuff because she's got a lot of traction going on. And this is before any of the social media out there. So that's kind of cool. All right. One last little tidbit about Jason. Jason is always looking for creative ideas on things. And one year, trade show food's not that good. Let's be honest. Like the trade show food you get in Europe is highly unusual, right? We don't have sushi bars in the United States. But Jason one year goes, we're going to have a food truck rodeo kind of thing at Infocom in Vegas in June. So he had this food truck thing outside, and it had a tent over it, but inside the tent, which covered the sun, it was like a terrarium. It was like 120 degrees in there. And do you remember that, Jason?
Yeah, well, people got to eat, and unfortunately, Vegas is kind of warm in June.
I would have suffered in the heat so that I would not have to eat.
We did. A lot of people did.
Like Papa John's pizza.
Yeah, I know for years people said, why can't ISE and Infocom flip their dates? Because it's so hot in June in Vegas and Orlando, and it's cool, or was it's better in Barcelona, but for years being in Amsterdam, very cold. But it's both shows are great and have thrived in both their venues and time frame in the year, and I think people put up with some mild discomfort for the awesomeness of great trade shows.
Exactly.
And, so like you mentioned, we're very excited about being in Denver in September because we think the weather's going to be awesome, and it'll be great for being downtown Denver and walking from the hotels into the food and bars and the convention center, and everything's very close together and easily walkable. And, we're very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are so too. Excited. We're gonna go. We'll be there. Well, we're gonna cover it, but we also want you to attend. So make sure you scan that QR code. Use code rAVE-CE23. Jason, thanks for joining us. Sign up at CEDIAExpo.com. That takes you to both sites. You can register for both shows there. Jason, I really appreciate you joining us today.
My pleasure, and I look forward to welcoming everybody to CEDIA Expo and Commercial Integrator Expo in Denver next month. So take care, and thanks for connecting with me today, Gary and Steph.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, we're gonna move on to you got a new buying guide, top TAA certified products from rAVe, and tell us about that, Steph.
Yeah, so rAVe has a new federal government landing page, which is basically just it's government buying guide, and like Gary said, it's top TAA certified products. So it's just kind of like an easy link to go to for like anything federal government, and you can get to that if you just scan the QR code, click on the most recent Legrand link, and that will take you right to that resource. So thanks again, rAVe, for sending that over.
So 20 years ago, next February, so in 20 years, so 19 and a half years ago, we were all setting up the very first ISE show. And do you know where that was, Steph?
No, actually, I don't think
Zurich, Switzerland. The very first ISE show is in Zurich, Switzerland. I think a lot of people would love to go back there for a show.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so they have their 20th birthday. They're going to have a 20th birthday celebration at next year's ISE show. And you can read all about that on our website. But registration is going to open on October 1st. And Steph and I are going to have an exclusive interview with the director, the managing director of ISC, Mike Blackman, that week. Yep. That ISC opens up, and we're going to have our own code for you to register. So we got you taken care of. If you're going to ISC, we want you to use our code, no matter who you are, whether you're a manufacturer or attendee. Wants you to use our code. We got you taken care of. We're going to get that to you. I really love the story that you posted yesterday, Steph, on the new Planar Studio virtual production workshop. I want to attend that.
Yeah. Where is it again?
I don't remember off the top of my head where it is. They're doing it with OptiTrack together. And it's and teaches you
Oregon.
all about, what's that?
Oregon. It's in
their headquarters probably. It teaches you all about how to get into the virtual production business. Both from the display side and the production side, and all that goes in between, because the camera tracking has to track with the displays, and perspective changes, and how that works, and how you do that coding. Obviously companies like Epic Games with their Unreal Engine are in this market. Disguise is in this market. I mean, there's a lot. Pixara's in this market. TV1's in this market. There's a lot of companies that are in this market, and it's great for them to do this because this is a good sort of like new segment of the market, I guess you could say.
I wonder if they're inviting press. I feel like they would be, right? Like
they should. I think it'd be a great thing for you to go to, Steph, because you'd learn so much about it. So I hope that you follow up with Kim and ask her if you can go as a member of the press.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think you should.
I think that our readers would honestly be really interested in that too.
Yeah. And speaking of production, a lot of AVer cameras are used in production, and now in meeting rooms and in classrooms especially, you can integrate voice tracking into any room using AVer's NDI matrix tracking box, the MT300N. That is on our website as well. You can scan the QR code and go to that story as well. But they want you to know that the product is available. It uses the PTZ Link premium software that they have, and it includes third-party integration APIs with a lot of the leading brands of audio products. So basically, you can use Shure's microphone systems to improve the tracking of AVer's PTZ cameras. You can use AVer, rAVe. You can use Sennheiser, are three of the brands that they've partnered with first off. And there's others coming as well. But so check it out.
Let's talk about your piece that you wrote now, because I saw this in the news and was like, oh, haha, that's interesting. And you wrote a blog about it. So
I did. Yeah. So basically Zoom announced yesterday, right after the markets closed, to all their employees, we need you back in the office at least 2 or 3 days a week, depending on where you're located and what your role is. If you live 50 miles from an office, and by the way, if you live more than 50 miles, you need to move within 50 miles of an office soon.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that to me is that they did a study that they funded and they published last year about asking people where they wanted to work, and 69, almost 70% of the respondents said they wanted to work from home as much as possible.
Yeah, and the study was basically like, you should let your employees choose. They function that way. And like Zoom published this whole thing that was like, yeah, that's what we believe too. And now they're making people come back.
I mean, I think that what's happened is, so I have I kind of wrote it from the perspective of like my own experiences, because my own experience was this. I did not think we could do what we needed to do working remote. Right. And I was proven wrong by a bunch of 20-something and 30-somethings that worked for my company, that work for you and I, work with you and I, Steph, because I just felt like that, one, we couldn't duplicate the culture by being remote, which we were forced to, just like everybody, all of 21 and 22, for the most part, we were not in the office, like barely in the office in 20 and 21, barely. 22, basically Steph and I, among Carrie, Emily, Kirsten, there were certain people that had to come back in the office often, but a lot of people still work from home. And so I was not sure we could duplicate the culture. And the second thing was, I just didn't see how we could do the creative collaboration. But I've been proven wrong. So therefore, my perspective was, I was selfishly looking at this from, how could this possibly work?
Right.
And I think what it shows is we need a mix of both. We need
Yeah,
a
we
mix
do.
of like, I think that it's hard culturally to really feel like you're part of an. In fact, the last couple of people we've hired, Steph, have even told us, as you know, we want to come in the office some because it helps
Yeah.
them understand what it's like. And I would hate, I mean, if you could go, I'm curious what you think, Steph. You go back to the day you graduated from college and your first job was only online and you were supposed to do whatever your role was and supposed to report to someone.
Right.
Wouldn't you agree it's hard to really kind of get to know someone when you're not actually in the office?
Yes, but I was also a reporter. So like that was never going to be an option for me. Like, you know, like I was always going to have to go and like cover like different town events in Chapel Hill. So that was just, there's just no way for me to do that unless like, you know, I would go and cover the event and then go and record my stuff because I worked for a news radio station, go and record my stuff and do that from home, maybe. But it was always going to be like something of my job was going to have to be in person. So
yeah, and a lot of people, I think, you know, Apple, Google, Microsoft, these are all companies that said we're going to let our employees work from everywhere, and then
Right.
change their mind a year or two later. And they all have, like, Apple said 3 days a week now. Google has said 3 days a week.
Mhm.
I think what's happened is we're going to end up having bookends where the Mondays and Fridays are going to kind of be like flex days, and then everybody's going to. Although we've done something like this summer, we've. Correct me if I'm
Our
wrong,
summer
Steph, 'cause I'm not
schedule.
that connected to it, but I know this summer, for the most part, y'all have a policy of coming in on Mondays, but then
Mhm.
Tuesday through Friday, pretty much people can work for where they want.
Yeah.
But a lot, like as you can see from
Yeah.
behind you, Jeff
There's
is
Jeff
working
back there.
today,
Yeah.
and so people do come in the office on their own. They're not ordered to necessarily come in the office. And I think that we had a policy prior to the summer of 2 and 2, right? It was 2 days
Yep.
in the office for
And
each group.
I really like that. It works for me. So I'm going to keep coming in at least 2 days a week because if I am at home by myself for too long, I start to get cabin fever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, please, I just need to sit next to another person and
Yeah.
like, you know.
And I'd love people to read my blog and get and see what your perspective of this is. Cause I have,
Yeah.
you know, I'm looking at it from my perspective, but also telling you sort of how it worked out for us.
You call yourself an old guy in that.
I am
blog,
old. Like compared to the rest, certainly compared to my company, I am, but the industry too. By the way, we probably shouldn't like not talk about the elephant in the room, right? I mean, Blue Jeans has gone out of business. Like Blue Jeans announced last night that they're exiting the market, and I thought it was interesting because the main. If those don't remember, they got bought by, if I remember correctly, Yahoo, and then Verizon bought Yahoo, so they ended up with Blue Jeans.
So it was Blue Jeans by Verizon.
Yeah, so they.
And,
phone company, you think it's logical, right?
And I would just like to publicly apologize. I've been very hard on Blue Jeans. Like I've said publicly before.
That's the reason though, Steph.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the reason they're out of business now. But I mean, yeah, no, I'm not going to take credit for it, but I feel bad now that it's actually going out of business.
Well,
because I've said so many times that every time I saw them at like Infocom or ISE, I said, oh, wow, they're still here. Good job, guys. I don't know anyone who uses Blue Jeans, and nobody did. So no, they don't exist.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. And I don't know. I thought what was most interesting to me about the stories that have come out, and you're going to write a story about it and do your own research.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing about the stories that came out is a lot of them said Google Meet competitor, Blue Jeans, announces they're going out of business. And I'm like, who says, hey, we're Blue Jeans, give us some attention. We're competing with Google Meet. Like, wouldn't you at least say I'm competing with Zoom?
Because because we're being honest, and Blue Jeans was never a competitor to Zoom or Teams.
Okay.
So like they had to say I'm a competitor with Google Meet, because if that would be lying if they were like, we compete with Zoom.
Yeah. Well, in any case, they don't compete with anyone right now. Unfortunately, they're going out of business. I don't know what that says about I don't think it says anything about the industry, because the other parts of Zoom stock is down because it was too far up during the pandemic, and everything's sort of working itself out. I'm not
going to make any assumptions about like what video conferencing is ultimately going to win, because like
I don't think it'll be a win. I think it'll be Zoom and Teams. I think those will be the primary two. Yeah.
But who would have thought? Because 5 years ago it was like, oh, I'm gonna Skype you
and WebEx you.
I'm gonna Skype.
When's the last time you WebExed anyone?
I told you I don't use that. Like if someone needs to get me on a WebEx meeting, they don't need to meet with me that badly. I'm just not going to go.
I mean, there are some places that have Cisco that internally.
Yeah.
But okay, let's move on to the next story. So because we are running over time.
We're running over time.
Scott Steinberg is the keynote for the CEDIA show. That's exciting to me. The CEDIA Association announced that yesterday. He's an AI guy, and I think timing-wise, it's a good idea. He's kind of a visionary, he's kind of futurist kind of guy. I've seen his I think it was a TEDx talk I saw a few months ago. So he's an interesting guy. I think it's a good keynoter for them. Another reason to maybe sign up for that. And then, of course, we want you to sign up for the rAVe Symposium, which is at the end of this month, rAVe's own rAVe Symposium. If you scan that QR code, you can sign up. But it's August 30th at 1 p.m. Even if you're not sure you can attend live, we give you we want you to register because we will send you a private link for you to get into and watch it afterwards. And we will be broadcasting this live on the 30th, but at 1 p.m. But you can join afterwards. This is a couple 3 hours long, and it's sort of like a state of the rAVe market.
It's going to be 4, maybe 5 sessions. We're kind of working out the last one right now. There's going to be a session on basically like all about audio, like installed audio versus rental audio. There's going to be a UCC session, just a lot of things that we're having to come to terms with in rAVe right now. We really tried to work out like a few of the conversations that have come up to me from readers and other things. So it's going to be great. We have some really, really great sponsors and panel participants. So it's going to be really fantastic, and we hope that you will attend.
Excellent. Well, look, we appreciate we know we ran over a little bit longer, but we also had a special guest on today.
Yeah.
Steph and I both appreciate you joining us every Wednesday. And even though the market is slowed down because it's August, we have not slowed down and we're still here. And we want you to join us every Wednesday at noon Eastern. Of course, you can also watch us on all the social platforms. Thanks for joining us today, everyone, and have a great rest of your week.
It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.